Hello humans, this is Random Guy and welcome to the Random Channel. Today we're going to continue playing. What were we playing? A Wizard's Choice, a medieval fantasy. Chapter 5. I already recorded one episode and now we're gonna move on with this episode. I have like half an hour more. So, yeah. It's probably not gonna be finished. I bet there's going to be a lot more than just this. I bet this chapter gonna take like 3 or 4 episodes at least. As you notice close in on the fleeing elf, he flings an arm back. You're splashed with something painful. There is a hissing, bubbling on your neck where droplets hit. Holy water, Thanatos screams. The little wave thinks I can be cowed by water, kill him. You pause in shock at the moment, at the sudden pain. Narissa too stops and screams. Just as the two of you resume chasing the elf, a giant eagle appears from behind the great boulder. The elf leaps into the air and catches a stirrup. Narissa throws off her backpack, unfurls her wings, and takes flight. The rider and vampire rise up into the air. Narissa tries to grab the rider, but the eagle swings his massive beak at her and tries to snatch her with her talons. Narissa backs off and then holds her position, flapping in place as though considering her best angle to attack. The rider pulls out a bow from her back and reaches for an arrow. Chuck a lightning bolt. I have a lot of mana actually. Yes, a lightning bolt will strike instantly. A perfect weapon against that arrow slinging coward, says Thanatos. And the rider has already raised the alarm with his horn. Thunder will make no difference now, you think. Just as the elf draws back the string of his bow, you blast the lightning blast. You bolt your bolt of lightning blasts through the eagle wing, nearly ripping it off. The eagle rider plummet down into a tight spiral and smack down upon the rocky ground. Narissa dives down after them. By the time you reach the pile of blood and feathers, Narissa has already finished out the wing. The elf is crawling towards his bow. The one leg is obviously broken. Feed on him. With a snarl, you snatch the elf by his long, fair hair and bite into his neck. Narissa lets out what must be a squeal of delight. She bites into the other side. Yes, yes. Thanatos shouts in glee. The high and mighty elf is no more than a bag of blood. The two of you drain him and then drop the body to the rocky ground. Okay, that's not something I want to see in the middle of my fucking video. God damn it. These fucking ads, man. I mean, at least put on some PC ads. Like, fucking hell. I mean, there's time for sex, obviously. We can watch hentai if you so very desire. I could probably do that on my YouTube channel, but not all the time, you know. I mean, maybe all the time, but you know, they were Indians, so that's racist. I'm not even gonna explain the joke I just made. Fuck it. Let's just move on. Narissa looks off into the dark sky. I wager there are more riders on the way. The blast of them battle horn must have been heard through the valley. You can travel more swiftly by air. It might be time for you to stretch those wings of yours. I do not know if you should completely give up on stealth. These eagles are faster than I am, especially when carrying me. You finish your sentence. The swiftest would be to keep to the road. It would not be as conspicuous as the air, but still rather conspicuous. Or off the road into the rougher terrain along the walls of the valley would not make good time, but the cliffs and the rock spires will provide better cover than eyes from above. Head to the rougher terrain, I would think. The two of you jog off the road into the avalanche scrub, stunted trees and boulders. It is not long before you spot the other elven riders flying in your general direction. The two of them approach from the direction of Hightower, where you had just come from. Three more than the opposite direction. The first party of the elves arrive at the site of your earlier battle, circles around it a bit, and then disperses out as though searching. You make it another half mile or so before they spot you, as evidenced by a blast of horns followed by all riders barking their mounts towards you. No point in stealth now. Let's find a good place to hide, says Narissa, and then from behind you see she hugs you in her arms and launches into the air. She beats her wing furiously to gain altitude. Soon, you have a view of the entire valley. You have a good grip on Narissa's arm. Whether fall spell or not, you do not want Narissa's demon to suddenly take drop and control and drop you. From your high vantage point, you spot an area full of high altitude green trees and rocky ravines. An excellent place to hide. Upon landing, okay. Upon landing, you hurry to take cover under the trees. Try your best to get lost within the wilderness. You have not gone far into the woods before there is a call of eagles and the blowing of horns. You suppose they are calling more of their kind to hunt you. They think they have surrounded us, says Santos. This is because they do have surrounded us. You not hear them circling us. We cannot hope to escape so many. Do not wet yourself. There are only elves, says Santos. And what about the monsters they ride upon? The eagles cannot fly through the trees. Their eyesight is not so keen at night, says Santos. What about the day, when we are but lifeless corpses? You ask. Santos does not answer. Narissa, you have trekked this wilderness before. How shall we escape? Yes, we hunted trolls and goblins and giants in this part of the valley. We spoke with caves and even some great caverns. This is why I sat down here. She says, will any of these caves lead out from here? Can we tunnel out of this trap, you ask? There is my hope. That is my hope. Perhaps our only hope, says Narissa. Now follow me closely and pay attention. Goblins, even some of the stupid giants, often hide the entrances of their lair. You're not sure that it's wise to go looking for inhabited caves right now since you already have enough enemies milling about. Nevertheless, the desperate cannot be too particular. You continue on. At some one point, you come upon a wide rock slide chute. Upon scanning the sky for eagles, you both venture out before you are even halfway out across the woods on the other side. There is a blast of horn. Neville's tongue. They must have sentries posted, you hiss. The two of you hurry into the shelter of the trees. There are more eagle cries and the flapping of great wings. They are close. You even think you hear the whistle of an arrow. After a few minutes of scampering along, you pull up short to listen. Nothing. Why do they not close in? They must know approximately where we are, you say. I do not know, but what I know is that we must find some shelter before the sun comes. Somewhere they cannot easily find. I will climb a tree and try to have a look around. It is windy tonight. Perhaps they will not notice tree movement, says Narissa. She begins to climb. They do not follow because they are cowards, says Santos. They would not hazard entering the woods with us. They need only wait until day and then track us down. Cowards. A minute later, Narissa drops to the ground with a fang smile. Yeah, I have my bearings now. There is a network to a vast network of caves. It's called the Snake's Den, but it's actually choke full of giants. Choke full. Ah, perfect. This is sarcastically. Well, we cleaned them out as best we could, and even if more evil has moved in since then, whatever it is will be no friend to the elves. Narissa leads the way until you arrive at the bottom of a cliff wall. Narissa signals for you to stay back. Stealthily, she moves up the rock face and searches along. She then carefully moves along the sticks and a small fallen log. She nods and you come to join her. Not much of a cave, you whisper, looking at the small opening. Not be deceived. It is but one entrance to the snake den. We may have to crawl for a while, says Narissa. We may? You do not know? I thought you explored these caves. Oh well, I was a new cleric then. I was assigned to guard the entrance and kill anything that comes in or out. I never actually went inside, says Narissa. You stifle a groan. The two of you are about to crawl inside when you notice a light at the corner of your eye. You look to see what appears to be a small campfire on top of a rock outcropping only a few hundred yards away. You must have just started since you haven't noticed it a second ago. Santos is evidently reading your thoughts as he says, oh yes, that fire will build up. The elves will require a bright, merry fire to tell their tales around. Or worse, play their music and sing their sappy songs. You cannot abide this. They hunt vampires and yet they would act as though they are feasting back in their queen's hall. Insulting. What do you suggest? What do I suggest? You sneak up there, pounce upon them, shove their balls of wine and loots up there. You would attack, you interrupt. Surely the outnumbers, and I see one of the great eagles now. There are probably more. It is time. It is night. Our time. Let us take advantage of that while we can, says Thantos. Narissa has folded her wings and begin to crawl into the cave. You grab her foot. How far do you plan to go? Well, I want to be at least find a decent place to rest. We can hide the entrance, and with some luck, they will not find us tomorrow. During the day, perhaps they will even think we slipped out of here under them. They will leave us, says Narissa. There's certainly trackers among these elves. Perhaps we could go deeper and try to find a way away from these encircling riders. Narissa shrugs. We may trade one enemy for another. I smell giants down here. And something else, she says. See, here's the thing. If I sleep in the cave, then they probably will find us there because they got trackers, and on top of that, the problem with this is that I will be completely defenseless in here. As for the cave exploring, she says giants. That's fine, but she said something else. I'm pretty damn sure there's going to be something gigantic in here, or something super powerful, or something. Maybe another vampire. Who knows? But attack the elves sounds very good. So I'm gonna attack the elves actually. As stupid as that may sound, I think that's the best course of action. Narissa, let's take the offensive. If they'll find us as we slumber, we are done for, you say. Narissa calls back out of the hole and smiles. Whether she's convincing by her reasoning or simply hungry, you do not know. The two of you approach the campfire cautiously. Thantos was right. The campfire is getting larger. Indeed, they're plainfully building a bonfire. Perhaps they think the light of it will offset the advantage of our perfect night vision. Elves may see well at night, but vampires see. The thoughts are interrupted. Something is out of the place about these night sounds. You hear the owls? Yes, what of them? I have been hearing owls since I left Ring City, you say in your mind. They do not sound right. I think they're elves. We had better turn back, says Santos. What? But they were owls. What? They do not sound right. I think they are elves, but they were elves when we came here. We know they are elves. What are you talking? What? I am hungry. We are nearly to the fire. Do not divide my attention from your paranoia. We need to focus if we are to victoriously, you said to your demon. And what do you know of what owls should or should not sound like? You do not even belong to this universe. Elves infest many of the worlds I have lived in. They're like plagues. The trick are always the same. Oh, let us make a sound of a bird to blend in with the forest. Infuriating. They know they must resort to such craven tactics because their bones are too thin to withstand the rigor of real combat. Santos continues on his rant against elves, leaving you to decide whether to turn back or not. I think, yeah, I think what the case is that I need to go into the cave because the game wants me to go there. I think that's what the case is. Hmm. I'm not gonna approach the fire because I think it's an illusion and they're gonna ambush us. So run back to the cave. Thanos tries to convince you to kill elves at every opportunity. For him to convince you not to kill elves, you must truly be afraid we are in danger. And if the elves are hooting it out to one another, then that probably means they know where we are, you reason. The elves are watching us. Run back to the cave. You used to Narissa. Narissa is obviously disappointed. She must truly be hungry. Nevertheless, she follows behind as you sprint over large rocks and dodge trees. Your suspicion or more confirmed, accurately Thanos' suspicion confirmed by an arrow whizzing past. They pursue us. Run faster, cries Thanos. More arrows hisses by a thump into the trees. From behind, Narissa shouts. You look back, you see an arrow in her wing, her face on dotted plain. The two of you reach the cave opening and duck down and crawl through. The fire was a trap, a lure by these pointy-eared wretches, says Thanos in your mind. It is thanks to your bloodlust that we fell for it, you say. Forgive me for wanting to mete out some justice, says Thanos. Never mind, it's just as well. Now we will lead them deep into the mountain, away from their precious trees, flowers and sky, down here in the dark without even starlight to guide them. The shaft you're crawling through forks several times and soon you're hopelessly lost. Finally emerge into a larger shaft over 10 meters high and 5 meters wide. Another cave shaft joins this one. We could ambush them here. As they crawl out, they will be nearly helpless, you say. From which direction will they come? Narissa asks. This place is a labyrinth. It is said that many of the elf riders are skilled rangers, so they will find us. But by that time we might be asleep and helpless. You both decide to continue on deeper into the caverns. The shaft becomes wider and you spot footprints. Narissa inspects them. Goblins. I'm nearly sure of it. Wolves and big ones. Narissa whispers. Dire wolves? It is said that goblins ride them into battle, you say. Narissa nods. There is probably a whole tribe of the little beasts living down here. The conversation is interrupted by a faint sound from behind. You creep back into the shaft and peer around the hall. Far down the hall, you see a dim flicker of light as though from a torch or lantern. Presently, you see several elves. One of them is stooped over, nearly crawling on the ground. Others are watching the walls around them, bows and swords in hand. There is more light emanating behind them, still more elves coming, you suspect. My, how they track quickly. What are you doing? Leaving a trail of urine behind you? Thanos asks. Without a moment to lose, you and Narissa hurry along. Although trying to be quiet, after only few seconds, you come across come around a bend and startle a small humanoid about 20 meters ahead that is scratching something into the rock wall with a dagger. It turns to you with a big yellow eyes. Goblin, kill it before it raises the alarm. Shouts Santos, what do you do? Uh, Firebolted. The arcane word, a ball of fire appears in your hand and you throw it. The goblin shrieks in terror and pain as it is consumed in the fire. Fool, the racket will bring the elves for sure, exclaimed Thanta. You told me to kill it. He cried out to help. How could I understand the goblin word for help? You ask. It is because I understand Goblin and we share a mind. Never. My life decrease is 14. Never mind that. You need to run, urges Thanatos. So you run. Unfortunately, you have no idea where you are going. So you, after sprinting down a series of tunnels, you run into a dead end. You listen for a moment, and your keen hearing makes out the echoes of footfalls behind you. They're coming, shouts Santos in your mind. Springing back again, you return to the cavern where you see the elves, about a dozen of them, soon drawing back their bows and other waving their hands to cast spell. You dive just as a sphere of light ray smears over your head, striking the wall with a hissing. You scramble to your feet and run for one of the exiting cave shafts with Narissa not far behind. Suddenly, a thick web stretches across the shaft. Web spells. Curse these elves, exclaimed Thanatos. You run for another exit. Feel searing pain as the light slashes into your side. Narza helps you up and pushes you out of the chamber. After running down several other random passages and passing through various underground, you stop at rest. Stop to rest. They will track us. As vampires, we may be faster and more at home in the dark than they. But when the sun rises, we'll be unconscious and helpless, says Narisa. You shrug and inspect the passages out of the chamber, trying to decide which one to take. The way this way smells horrible, like goblin, you say, pointing down one shaft. Perhaps that is our own best hope. Goblins are no friend of elves, said Narisa. Goblins are not friends of to anyone, not even other goblins. Narika shrugs and starts down the shaft of goblin stands reluctantly or follow. Okay. Soon the stench of goblin is nearly overpowering. You motion to Narisa to stay behind as you sneak ahead. You peer around the corner about 50 meters away are three goblins and two massive wolves. Two of the goblins are leaning on spears while the third is lounging on a carpet of swords atop a boulder. There is a rusty breastplate hanging from a rope near the reclining goblin. You creep back to Narisa and whispers in her ear, sentries. Those are not sentries, those are appetizers, says Thantos. Narisa asks for details. You describe what you saw. How do we handle them? Let's use an invisibility spell because I'm gonna die otherwise. Decide the stealth is the best way to deal with the sentries. There are two ways you could go about this. One way is to simply sneak past invisibly. However, it will require you both to be invisible, and that costs more mana. The other way is to dispatch the sentry. Again, you could. Well, this is a predicament. I died. Yeah, whatever bullshit happened, and they crept on us. Now it's evidently seeing you leap out from hiding place towards the calf shafts and flies towards you. Although the other goblin is still in a state of shock surprise, the other devil tries to flee and lashes you and throwing you to the ground. You finally succumb to your wounds. Great, just fucking great. Fuck me. And now to you, both of us, and that would work. These sentries will make a fine meal. You should fortify ourselves before facing the tribe. Goblin blood, not as good as human, but not half as good as elf. Uh, but it will do, says Santos. What do you intend? Once invisible near the ominent, you will not be able to communicate your intentions to Narissa. Whenever you physically interact with sentient beings while invisible, you break the invisibility illusion. However, it will allow you to creep right up behind them. Sneak attack. Yes, that worked. Finally, some life, ate life. The evil little souls are destined for the abyss anyway. I might as well draw some power from them before they arrive, you think. You and Arisa coordinate your battle plans in low whisper and then you cast your spell. Because you're invisible, you don't want to stumble over each other's feet, so you approach hugging the left wall of the shaft. Narsa has agreed to hug the right. As you approach, the dire wolves sniff the air and then hackles up their back and rise up. The goblins become more alert and peer through you. Even the goblins that had been reclining nervously when the cavalry sits up and mace clutches in both hands, raising near the hanging breastplate. You creep up behind the one post to raise the alarm. You wait a few seconds to make sure Narisa is in position. The goblin begins chatting about ghosts. One suggests that they should feed the wolves before they turn on them. One walks over to a bloody burlap bag. One movement, you open the throat of a sentry with your dagger and push him down between you. You then leap onto one of the wolves, slashing at the soft flesh of the beast's throat. Narissa appears as her mace smashes the skull of the other wolf. She then punches a slack-jawed goblin before he can even make a sound, knocking him out cold. With the wolf killed in the surprise, the goblins go down so easily they barely have time to make a sound, and you have yourself a nice meal. With your thirst shackled, slacked, you continue down the shaft, the commotion and the stench of goblins growing stronger. After a few hundred meters, the cave widens into a large cavern. The goblin the ground is a writhing mass of goblin, perhaps 200 or more. There are goblins drinking from human-sized goblets that are too large for them. Some are dancing, others fighting, rolling around on the edge. More than a few are engaging in a romantic coupling. Although to call it romantic, it is a stretch. I'm pretty sure this will prove to be mentally scarring sight. Smaller goblins, presumably children, run around seemingly aimlessly squawking. The giant leaning against a boulder near the center of the room, about 20 meters from you. His scraggly beard is bloodied by a large chunk of meat that is ripping into. Standing atop the boulder beside the giant is what you suppose is a goblin witch doctor or warlock. He wears rich silks, although they are tattered. He is decorated in bone jewelry, has a staff with what might be a human child's skull on top of it. There is a crudely carved Diaz about 30 meters away. At the top of these steps are several wooden chairs and obviously stolen from human settlement. In one chair is a larger goblin who wears metal crown. The crown appears to have been hammered out by an amateur. Although these goblins' neck is a necklace of ears, most of them small and pointing like this is extreme amounts of information that I don't really need, The goblin ears sitting on chairs around him or reclining on stone are five much smaller goblins who are wearing a hodgepodge of scarves and silk wraps, other nicer clothes. You know little about goblin morphology, but you think these are females. Yeah, in some dark fantasy worlds, females don't exist in goblins. Goblins kidnap females of other species to mate with them. Similarly, in these fantasies ones where there are elves who do not have male elves in them, so they mate with humans and other kinds, just like that. Okay, what we have before the Diaz are two chain goats, blah blah blah. Okay, yeah. But the Diaz are two chained goats being struck with the shafts of spear by several goblins. The goats bar in. You could have just gone for the goats bleat in pain. Why did you write bar? Did you not know the word bleat or something? Bar in pain and kicks as the goblin atop the Diaz watch. Eventually, the goat torture is what passes for entertainment here. There are three other caverns leading out of the cavern, two on the wall opposite you, one in the middle going down deeper into the mountain. With the elf tracking you and the morning not so far off, you don't have much time. You could cast a grand illusion to frighten them, or you could use the element of surprise to kill their leader. Finally, you could cast invisibility and sneak past them all into one of the adjoining cave shafts. Doing this will put the goblins between you and the elves, and then you might be able to find a safe place to sleep for the day. God damn it, I have 5! Are you serious? I'm pretty much dead at this point. Oh shit, I have 6. Okay, I have 6. Good, 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 good. Sneak past invisibly, and I'm dead. This and that. You let us know how he or she is up at you terrifyingly eyes. You let us know of your own blah 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 blah. You're nearly to the goblin with the crown, with a bolt of flame strikes in the back and flames burn around you, blah blah. Okay. That didn't work out. Slay the leader. That didn't work out. Last time. Use an illusion. Yes, goblins are not clever. They will be vulnerable to mind tricks as Santos. They live under the shadow of the dragon, create an illusion of that. But I have only seen pictures of dragons in storybooks. How can I create a convincing illusion of one? They are but stupid goblins, Stanton says in exasperation. Perhaps a large troop of elves would be a better illusion. I have seen an elf, you say. You want them to cower in fear, not fight, says Thanatos. Just then you see one of the dire wolves sniffing in the air in your general direction. Has he caught your scent? You decide it is time to act. What kind of illusion do you cast? A dragon, I guess. Fine spellcaster, alright. Right spell for the right time. Good job. Nice work. You've achieved 75% of the points possible in the Wizard Choice series. Feedback so far. Fuck off. How about that? I've read all of this multiple times over. Mana decreases for now. Neither life, now neither mana. These little cowards will not inspect my illusion too closely, you think, as you wave your arm and form the image of a dragon in your mind. You catch Narissa's eyes and wink at her. Presently, a great red dragon, 2 men tall and many meters long, emerges from your cave entrance, roaring and spitting fire. You step out beside the dragon, and thanks to Santa's seamless translation, shout in the goblin language, I am the dragon master, you will bow to me now. Okay, some bow, some run, all of them scream in surprise and terror. Even the crowned one of the deers stares with wide eyes and slack jaw. The warlock, however, does not seem impressed. His eyes squint and he raises his staff. You decide you will need to make an example of him. He is some distance away and has a giant standing next to him, his massive club at the ready. You shout for Narissa to kill him, but she is grappling with direwolf. Eventually, the wolves are not all afraid of your illusion. Firebolt his ass, I guess. You maneuver yourself behind your illusion, cast your spell with this lapse in concentration of your illusion. You'll soon wink out. However, the fire bolt you shoot out comes out nearly perfect, almost as though it comes out of a dragon's mouth. Better yet, the bolt of dragon hits the warlock directly in his chest. He screams as he is engulfed in flames. Seeing this, even the most brave of the goblins either run or throw their weapons and prostrate themselves, throwing their palms down and squashing their noses down into the cave floor. T-Lad, the Conqueror is dead. Do not burn us. One of the goblins shout. A second later, the dragon disappears. Some of the dragons look up with crinkled eyebrows. Not make me summon him again, you shout using your most tyrannical voice. A dragon master, one of the goblins shouts. A few of the other goblins take up the cry. They continue their prostrating. Meanwhile, Narissa has finished off the dire wolf she had been dangling with. Her clothing and mace drip blood in her mouth. She decides to have a little snack, while leaving you to intimidate the whore. I do not like the way the giant and the crowned goblin are staring at us. I should kill one of them as an example. To the other, says Narissa. You wonder if this is Narissa or a demon talking. Neither the giant or the crowned goblin will, with the ear necklace, have made a move against you. Rather, they stare slack-jawed as they unsure what they should do. Why kill one? When we can kill them both, says Santos. I'm gonna leave them because I need them to kill the fucking... Great. You sentence cut off a see the crown goblin reloading a bow. Okay, so that's the guy I need to kill, I guess. Okay, man. Alright, so I'm gonna kill the crown goblin. Yes, go ahead and slay their leader. Only then will we be... Narissa does not wait for you to finish your sentence. She launches into the air, her wings bleating, her goblin shriek. The goblin chief pulls a bow from behind his chair, strings an arrow, but Narissa is on him before he can fire it. She sinks her teeth into the side of his neck. The nearby female goblins shriek and scatter away. Soon the chief goes limp. Okay, the king of goblins. Finally call your mother right now, right away, and tell her the good news. There are shouts of all kinds. They're calling Narissa the small dragon. You take the necklace off the corpse of the chief. You slice off the chief's ear with your dagger. Add his ear to the collection of other ears on the neck. What? Of the other ears on the necklace. Walk around over to Narissa. Put it around her neck. Narissa makes a disgusted face but does not remove it. You are welcome. You grin at her. Take some time before you are able to calm the goblins down enough to shout over the dem. Baby dragon and I... What the fuck is that in the room? It's a giant ass moth. Fucking hell. Okay, so this is where we are ending it apparently. I need to get this thing out of my room. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. There's a Twitter link in the description. Go follow me. There's a YouTube link in the description. You can go watch my hentai let's play. And see you around next time. Bye bye.